All Taoist Astrology, or Wu Xing. Note that if you were born in the 3-year Wu Xing winter season under the sign of the boar, the rat, or the ox, or if you were born in a water year, meaning a year ending in 2 or 3, and therefore have water as your heaven stem, this audio recording applies to you. Also, if you were born in late January or February, check Google to find the exact date on your year of birth when the lunar calendar proceeds to the next sign. Taoist astrology cusps are more cut and dry than Western astrology. There isn't the typical blending that occurs with sun signs. You're usually either one Taoist animal or another. The Taoist year begins on a new moon, unlike the Western year that begins January 1st. Taoist astrology, like Western astrology, is described as a cosmic science for understanding another shade or layer of the cosmic onion of the soul. An understanding of the Western astrology of the soul and the Taoist astrology of the chi function can powerfully illuminate their respective roles, functions, and dynamics in the human psyche, and in some ways are essential tenets in regards to self-awareness and self-realization. The following material is a compilation of my own works interspersed with quotes from 2 major texts, Taoist Astrology by Suzanne Leavitt and the Handbook of Chinese Horoscopes by Theodora and Laura Lau. Understanding the 5 elements. A fundamental part of Oriental philosophy is the relationships and interactions among the 5 basic elements of which the universe is composed: metal, water, wood, fire, and earth. Each of these is divided into conducive and controlling relationships. These elements are interdependent. Each is controlled by another while contributing to the existence of a different element. Note that dynamic alchemies between people are not bad. In fact, the flux of opposed chi energies of people are the magnetic tension which itself keeps chi energy vitally moving and potent, transpersonally speaking. Contrast between terrestrial perspectives work to reveal the transcendental object of truth hidden between the lines of each subject's viewpoint and nature. The alchemical blend of the 5 Taoist elements creates many healing modalities, including harmonious relationships and compatibility. This is demonstrated in nurturing relationships and friendships. Yet some elemental blends are not harmonious vibrationally speaking. This is demonstrated in relationships of dependence and conflict. It is often noted that in order to truly understand one's element, one ought to learn about the other element phases and how they interact and contrast each other, for all the elements are manifold expressions of the same chi essence. We are all one vibration behind the lustrous waves of our separate forms. By accommodating the essence of our fellows, we can thus blend and better deal with each other from a viewpoint of mystic kinship, familiarity, and energetic oneness. According to Taoist philosophy, no one element can be called the strongest or the weakest. Like the yin and yang, they are forever interdependent and always equal in strength. They are eternally joined in the chain of life that brings about their existence. There is no power or struggle for dominance. Each has its own place and function. Even in the human body, these 5 elements maintain their reciprocal relationships. In Chinese medicine and acupuncture, the elements rule the 5 major organs of the body. Metal is linked to the lungs. Fire controls the heart. Wood is associated with the kidneys. Earth rules the spleen and pancreas, and wood is identified with the liver. So when a Chinese doctor, herbalist, or acupuncturist treats an illness, he has to keep these interrelations in mind. For example, when the earth, pancreas, is affected, the metal, lungs, are weakened too. If the water, kidney, malfunctions, then it cannot produce its counterpart, wood, and consequently the wood organ, the liver, will begin to deteriorate. Water, the parent of wood, the child of metal. Water here means the rain or dew that makes plant life flourish, producing wood in the process. Wood is dependent on water for life and growth. Water is controlled or directed by earth. Earth directs the flow of water. We dig canals to irrigate fields and build dikes to keep out water. Earth absorbs water and contains it. This also reflects that water signs are sensitive to dire material needs. For water, this includes everything from maintaining physical projects to being handy and crafty, and especially to their desire to feed hungry mouths. Water's acts are primarily motivated by their sense of soul, by sustaining or resolving material lack. Water has a particular penchant for fairness, like the leveling power of liquid. This is why in Chinese poetry they're considered compassionate servers. From my own notes, water is directed by earth, thus they are often a very crystallized energy. Think that winter's frosty season represents water's element. They can be difficult to move around except by their own controlled willingness. Yet every motion of theirs, being controlled and calculated as it is, can be as efficient as any boisterous energy by its refined precision. Water directs fire. Nothing will put out a fire as quickly as water. The following material comes from Cosmic Astrology, an East-West guide to your internal energy persona by Mantak Chia and William Yu Wei, published and copyrighted in 2012 by Destiny Books in Rochester, Vermont, US. I do not own the following content. Water element: river, lake, ocean. Movement: flowing. Patterns: stable, shy, predictable, polite, pleasant, non-confrontational. The personality of waters is stable. They are creatures of habit who go to the same restaurant and order the same food for breakfast and dinner. They want an organized and stress-free environment. Waters do like to say no, but they are not always good about following through on what they will do. Waters do not like to express their opinions. Debates or efforts to convince them of something they do not want to do are essentially futile. If they choose to avoid a request, they are basically polite, good-humored, and avoid confrontations. Waters seldom yield to social pressure. They do not like friction, arguing, or giving explanations for their decisions. They tend to hold on to things and dislike throwing the old, broken, or even useless away. Waters believe everything might have some use in the future. They do not like to relocate to new environments and are fearful of it. Their friends tend to remain the same for long periods. While they are extremely loyal and dedicated as friends, their shyness often gets in the way of establishing new friends. There's a kind of passivity in waters, and it is very difficult for them to start a new relationship. Frequently, they are very quiet, and aggression of any type is not possible for them. They will put up with the negative behavior of others because they are afraid to be confrontational. Sometimes they can change their fears into an enormous ability to be tolerant and forgiving. However, in its lower form, fear holds back the waters' life. They are patient and supportive individuals who speak softly and pause to ponder their words. Fear is their defining emotion, so by watching horror movies, reading books, and playing computer games based on fear, they can connect to this emotion safely. Waters feel tired and fatigued more than average. Waters often are bored by others because people frequently seem to have nothing to say, or they simply have no interest. Waters have no interest in controlling people. They tend to be spiritual or philosophical relative to their pursuits and conversation. Waters develop their own areas of involvement where they are at liberty to do what they truly like. They might like the internet, where they can participate in a non-physical manner, and their timid personalities can catch the attention of the rest of the world. In some situations, things might be totally out of control, but waters will be right in the center of the conflict in one way, but completely outside simultaneously. Waters simply do not show emotions one way or another, but just walk away from loud, opposing individuals. This frequently makes waters excellent peacemakers. They can accomplish this by simply being there during conflict, because they judge no one, do not take sides, and patiently bide their time while the fight slowly cools down. Waters like to collect things, and they are pack rats, tending to never throw anything away and constantly accumulate new things. Among their favorite things are those related to sports cards, beads, animal statues, and items pertaining to their secret fantasy world. Boxes are one of the waters' favorite items, oddly enough, and they do not like it when people touch or discard them. One reason why they do not share their views is that people always twist what they say. Waters often do not like to talk to others at all. They think that others do not listen carefully. They talk to themselves. Waters tend to be the wisest individuals, and this includes knowing other people's strengths and weaknesses, perhaps better than they know their own. Waters can reflect on others, but find it difficult to reflect upon themselves. Waters eat their food or drink their tea at room temperature and enjoy raw salads and fruits. They will stay in a relationship with the partner even if they are aware that the partner is not faithful, and they usually do not complain or do anything about it. They like to maintain the status quo and resist pressure to change most situations. They tend to be sentimental, especially about things such as their old houses, family, school, and friends. Waters are frequently tight-lipped and have an ability to keep secrets. Waters usually conceal their love, affection, and other significant psychological needs and wants very deeply. Waters have intense dreams routinely. Sometimes when they wake up, it's hard for them to separate their dreams from real life. Shades of blue are waters' colors, wearing them in their clothes, and they are akin to lakes, rivers, oceans, and rain. Waters never tire of the same thing. Food for waters is eaten to sustain life, not for celebration. They do not like to eat in large groups. They are very pokey and picky eaters and eat as though they do not enjoy their food. Waters need to do things while eating. They do not look at their food, but toward the other individuals at the table, or anything except what they are eating. Waters have a list of foods they will not eat under any circumstance. Waters have few favorite dishes that they really enjoy, and they will stay with those for a very long time. Waters are heavy users of salt because it supports their kidney functions and helps them to feel more energetic. Winter is generally better for their constitution and gives them a built-in reason to withdraw and go slow. Waters do not like to search for jobs or anything for that matter, other than on the internet, which is their most important form of entertainment. Winter seems to have a positive influence on them and boosts their creativity, but waters do not do well when the weather reaches bitter Arctic temperatures or when they are cold over a long period of time. A climate where a coat or jacket is needed seems appropriate. The only time waters can actually enjoy eating is a very late dinner or snacks around midnight, but unfortunately this can possibly give them digestive problems. They have a tendency to suffer from a slower digestive system, and this indicates that they should never eat near their bedtime. Waters also seem to be night people because they transform from the dispassionate and disengaged daytime person to a more animated individual during the night hours. At night, they can actually become intense and very interesting, adventuresome, stimulating, and even risk-taking individuals. The moon governs the dark universe, and that is what waters prefer. The dark of night finds waters winning video games, writing fantastic stories or songs, or mysteriously become a seductive and skillful lover. Since the night is a special time for waters, they should pay careful attention to their visions, thoughts, and dreams. Nighttime is when reflecting on the nature of things generally works out at a peak, and decisions facilitate in their minds. For self-employed waters who work in creative or business areas, the night is a good time for fruitful work, sending significant messages and emails, and even making phone calls. Waters who are not very garrulous during the daylight hours suddenly want to talk during the night when their language becomes perfect and their thoughts absolutely clear. Waters are linked to the north. Even in a garden, the northern side is best. They appreciate firs, ferns, pines, and other cold-loving trees and plants. Water's bodily organ is the kidney. It is not uncommon for young waters to be bedwetters. Waters procrastinate on going to the bathroom, partly because the urge takes place during the hours when they should be sleeping. The fundamental life force of waters remains awake and active at night. When the body's biorhythms are thrown off, they may have issues with their bowels or urinary systems. Constipation and other problems related to the cleaning of the body's waste could become a problem. Another issue is that waters are very shy people. They feel self-conscious using unfamiliar bathrooms. Massaging and soaking their feet in warm water morning and night helps their kidneys.